Hi everyone, it's Max here again. I'm going to be showing you now how to create slides using Smart Slider 3. So let's go ahead and get started. First, what we're going to do is add our slide. So we're going to go in here, go to Image, and then Upload Files, or you can use files in your media library. Today, I have the 3 slides loaded in. So I'm going to select the 3 images here that I want to use for those slides and go ahead and insert them into the Smart Slider program. From here, this allows you to move slides around if you want. So for this one, we want this picture of Matt and Ann to be in the first image of our slide, and then we'll carry it on by a picture of Zion and then a picture of Antelope Canyons. So what we want this is going to be slide 1. We're going to go ahead and edit it. As you can see here, we are now in the Smart Slider editing room, which they recently revamped and gave us several really cool options. As you can see on the left here, you have the ability to add different layers. So we have the row layer, which I'll show you in a later video, the heading, the text, image, and buttons. Or if you want, you can also insert YouTube or Vimeo. So what we're going to add first is go ahead and add a heading to this. From here, we're going to go over to the side where we can customize the text that is in the text box. For this one, let's write accelerate your business online, and that's going to be your header. From there, you can also add a link. So if I wanted to add a website link, we could do that here, and you'd be able to click on this text box here and go to that link. This also has the ability to turn on full width or not full width. And if you look closely, something I just noticed here, Smart Slider 3 also shows those arrows that I showed you how to insert into your slide in the previous video. Now, this is a pretty small header right here, so we're going to have to go in and do some editing. Perhaps you don't like Roboto Arial very much, so we're going to go ahead and go to Noto Sans and use that. And then also, this is a pretty light font, so we're going to want it to be a little bold. From there, we also want to bump up the size a little bit, just play around with that, which you can use a slider here, as well as centering it on the page. Maybe you want it italicized, you can do that as well. If you're looking to get pretty crazy with your header, you can also add a background color, which would just act as a color around this text box, a border, and a border radius. These are all quite useful. And as you can see, there's tons of different options. And then from there, you can also add an animation if you want, but that is a premium option only. So once the header is on the page, we're going to want to go ahead and also add a subheading. For that, we're going to be using the text box option, which as you can see here is meant for paragraph text. So I'm going to go ahead and insert some text here. Okay, as you can see now, this is here. It's very hard to see though because it's so small. So what we're going to want to go and do is go into the style, go ahead and match the font since that's pretty important. Giving your style guide as well as maybe adding some little bold just so it sticks out a little more and also bumping the size of the font up. It's a nice little accent color. Sorry, not accent color, just addition to your heading and also center that as well. From here, you can also see you have the same options as we did with the heading in terms of background color and border radius. So that looks pretty nice, but there does seem to be an issue here that this really bright background of Matt and Ann makes it hard to read the text that's on the thing. So let's adjust that. We're going to go into our background image, which is a new option that Smart Slider has added into their theme. So we're going to click the background slide. It's somewhere up here in this corner. And now you can see here that we have this picture of Matt and Ann. And I'm going to show you here how to edit it so you can better see the content that is on your slide, which in the end of the day is the focal point. So what we want to do here is add a color, something dark, since this is white text and a very bright image. Let's add the color black and then bump the opacity of the background image down to 60%. As you can see here, we get this really neat look and that white text really pops off the page because the opacity of the image is so low, but you can still see Matt and Ann's smiling faces. So we can close that out. And now we have the ability to adjust the size of the box if we so wanted. We can make it stacked and maybe center it in the middle of the page here. So I'll go ahead and do that just to show you guys what that would look like. I kind of like it on one line, so we're going to keep it like that. And then another important thing that Smart Slider 3 allows you to do is adjust based off if you are using a tablet, a mobile phone, or your desktop view. So let's go ahead and look at the tablet view and see what we got. Now, this is some big text. We don't really like that very much, so we're going to go ahead and drop the size of that text box down as well as the size of the font. So we'll use this slider up here, maybe put it to 90%. That looks pretty nice. And then we'll do the same thing with our subheading. Now it looks kind of odd because our subheading is almost the same size as our heading, so we'll bump that down to 80%. And that looks pretty cool right there. Another important thing to keep in mind is that you need to add padding. So this, when you hover over the side of the box, what you have the ability to do is you see this blue box come out, which is your padding. So as you can see, I'm moving the text box over to the side because I'm padding where it is. Since we have these arrows on, it's important that the padding goes over these arrows so that the text will not. In order to adjust the padding on both sides, what we need to make sure we do is hit Shift while we are adjusting, and this will allow you to edit both sides at once. We also if you set those buttons in the bottom there, you have to pad those buttons. So right now we are going to adjust the buttons here, cover those up, and now you have padding on your sides and bottom, and this looks pretty good on a tablet view. Now let's check the mobile. Now obviously this looks quite odd, so what we have available to us is shrink down that size of your header by 80% as well as shrink that down. Now it still looks pretty weird, so what we're going to go ahead and do is add in some padding. Now that looks pretty nice there. Get some good padding. And then it's a little wide, so we'll adjust that. And then let's bring this in and shrink this font down a little bit. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now what looks kind of weird here is the fact that the picture of Matt and Ann is really not centered where we want it to be. So what we're going to do is use this cool tool here, which allows you to change the focus point of your slide. So for this one, let's center it on Ann's face. So we will have Ann or Matt in the picture. So Ann is here, and we'll move the green dot here, and now Ann is the focal point of the slide. And that looks pretty nice. We're all set with our mobile view there. Very cool. We can go ahead up here and hit save. Very nice. And then come up here to where it says slides and go on to our next slide in the next video.